Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video of the Osmoth. Today we're going to be talking about the T62A and where it actually sits, because I have a bit of a problem with T62. Its reload feels too long for 100mm gun, but at the same time it feels too short to be, you know, like a heavy tank kind of whatever. It sits in this odd position where it's not really a medium tank, but it's not really a heavy tank. It's like in between kind of thing. So it does heavy tank damage, but it has medium tank speed and maneuverability. Now, the thing is that when you do that, you give a medium tank heavy tank damage, penetration, not armor but hit points. What you're basically doing is you are making a heavy tank with bad armor, with a alright reload. I mean, it's not really alright, it's a little bit too long to be a medium tank, and yet it's too short to be classed as a heavy tank, because it doesn't have the armor to be a heavy tank. But it has the hit points, and it has the gun damage, and it has everything really to be a heavy tank. But it's not a heavy tank, it's a main battle tank. So it's not a medium tank, it's not a heavy tank, it's a main battle tank. So a battle tank is basically a medium tank, a light tank, and a heavy tank put into one. So the T62A, not the T62, but it's the T62A. It's sort of like a tank where it doesn't fit in this game anymore, and I know I'm gonna get backlashed by a lot of comments saying that I'm talking about bullshit and shit like that, but just stick with me, Now, back with the pre-nerf T62A, it was obviously, it was on par with the Leopard 1, the STB 1, and even the E50. The E50 was also good. But then it received the biggest fucking nerf ever, and it just felt like driving a heavy tank with medium tank armor. It really did. Its damage, alpha damage was decreased, reload was increased, damage per minute obviously was nerfed, but everybody complained about it, saying that the T62A or T62 Alpha just did not feel like it was good. It felt like you were cheated into buying a tank that the stats said were good, and then it turns out the tank was not as good as you were, thought to believe. And this caused an outrage, caused an absolute outrage in the Tankery Discord. It caused an absolute outrage outside the Tankery Discord, and it, over time, over the next few weeks, the T62 Alpha stayed at its nerfed place, and the amount of times people were just getting seal clubbed by Leopard 1s, E50s, and 48A5s, even like T125s, even Conquerors, they were getting seal clubbed by. It's hard to take into the fact that the T62A is one of those tanks where it gets hit with buffs and nerfs and all that, and other tanks get left alone. It's actually quite sad to see the T62A get picked on. It's been buffed, it's been nerfed, it's been buffed, it's been nerfed, it's been buffed, it's been nerfed. The buff it's got, it hasn't put it back up to its 100% strength. It's probably about like 85-90% strength. It's an alright tank, but the problem is that it's still got that awful reload. Its alpha damage has been put up, but it's still got that awful reload, and the T62 alpha does not feel strong. It doesn't feel weak. It just doesn't feel like it can pick a fight properly. I mean, of course, it can pick a fight with the T135, the Conqueror, tanks like that. But when you go up against a Leo or an E50 or a T95 E6 or an M48A5 pattern, you're gonna get out reload. I know that's a weird name to say, but you're gonna get out reload. You're gonna get outflanked because you're just not that maneuverable anymore. You're turning your degrees per second. Ever since the T62 Alpha got buffed again, I feel like it's sluggish at turning. It doesn't feel like a main battle tank. It feels more like a heavy tank. It seems to take its time turning, and that's a bit concerning, because now what you have is you have a main battle tank that really can't turn, and that's concerning for the people who play this game that pick up this tank, because everybody's going to be going for the T62 Alpha or the Leopard 1 or anything like that, because they're iconic tanks, and people who get the T62 Alpha, they're going to be disappointed, because yeah, it has 2200 hit points, yeah, it has 2100 DPM, yeah, it has alright top speed, but the mobility is not there. It's not that good. The armor is alright, it's just not good enough. To put that into perspective, the armor on the M48A5 pattern, it may not look as good as the T62A, and yes, it is a little bit worse, but for some reason people feel more safe in this tank than the T62A. And again, if I get hit for that, I get hit for that. I will take the comments into consideration. But what I'm trying to say is that the T62A just does not feel like it does its job anymore. It feels lacking. I mean, I have seen a hell of a lot more T54 1951s and T54B 059s going around instead of T62As, and that is concerning. That is really, really concerning, and that just it shows one thing only, and that is the T62A is dying. T62A is dying out, and I know there's going to be some servers where people are going to be, spamming the T62 Alpha, but that's just one server. Before the T62 Alpha got nerfed, there were hundreds of T62 Alphas in loads of servers. You would easily see about 5, 6. Once I saw an entire enemy team of T62 Alphas, and now I don't. The most T62 Alphas I've seen in a match is 2. I have not seen any more than that for the past 2 months, and that is concerning. That is seriously concerning me, and I just think the T62 Alpha needs to be put back to its original glory. Make its reload better, make its traverse speed better, because people are not playing this tank. The win rate ratio of this tank is dropping, and the win rate ratio of other tier 6 main battle tanks and tier 5 medium tanks, they're rising. The reason why they're rising is because people are not playing the T62 Alpha anymore, and so there's not really that competition anymore. And when there's not that competition, what that triggers is it starts to trigger a chain reaction, because then, I don't know, say a couple months down the line, the Leopard 1, BAM! Gets a massive nerf. Then it's slightly buffed again. That will then spark a almost force fire through the community, and the community will start to think, hang on a minute, what's going on here? Now, I'm not saying that Leopard 1's going to get nerfed. This is just an example. The T62 Alpha getting nerfed and then getting slightly buffed, that's concerning. That's concerning. And I know that you're probably going to type in damage. You calling this a slight buff? It's gone from like 1900 DPM, nearly 2000 DPM to 2100 DPM. That's a slight buff, because before the T62 Alpha got nerfed, it used to have, what was it, 2200 DPM stock, 2200 DPM stock, and now stock DPM is just over 2000, and that's concerning. That's a 200 DPM drop. So what I really want to talk about here is just the concern that the T62 Alpha is just becoming less and less and less effective in this game. It really is. I'm seeing less and less people play the T62. Hang on, guys. Someone uses the L7A1. So we're going to move on to probably one of the most overpowered heavy tanks in the game that I think. And it's the T10. And the reason why I say it's the T10, I've hit for 600 with this thing. This thing only has a 122mm, but when you're playing this tank, the gun looks huge. The gun looks absolutely massive. And I mean, there is no evidence of Greg adding in another high tier Russian heavy tank. There is no evidence of that at all. But you never know if he could sneak one in, and if he does, if he sneaks in something like, I don't know, the Object 257 that has insanely good turret armor, insanely good hull armor, a very nasty 122mm gun that does even more damage than this M62 T2 gun that the T10 uses, I can see a problem occurring. Another problem occurring alongside the T62 Alpha nerf. And if he does add in, if he adds in another large caliber Russian heavy tank into the game, he may need to balance the alpha damage, because with the T10 I've hit for 600 with this tank. 600. Take that into consideration for a second. 600 damage. You can one hit tier 6 and 5 tanks in Koth. Most likely not the E100. Most likely not tier 6 tanks that have 2200 hit points. But tanks like the M4A5 pattern. Tanks like the Charioteer, the Centurion, or the E50, the Leopard, the RU. These tanks are so vulnerable to this 122mm T62 T2 gun. Now it's rare to hit for 600 with this gun. I've hit for 600. I've had some of my friends say to me they've hit 600, and it's a bit concerning by how many times people are hitting for 600 damage with this gun. It's definitely one of those things where you got to think, like, should this thing really be slapped with the Nerf hammer? I think it's time. I honestly think it's time the T10 gets toned down slightly. Now, yes, I know people are going to say, hang on a minute, you also hit for low rolls. Yes, you do. I've hit the lowest roll 286 damage with this gun. Now, that's bad. But I'm not talking about like the lowest damage or the highest damage. I'm talking about the fluctuation between the alpha damage. It's too large. Way too large. It's way too large of fluctuation. That fluctuation needs to be toned down. Greg, make that fluctuation smaller if you can. I'm just saying, if you can make it smaller. So that, you know, people aren't hitting for low rolls or hitting for overpowered high rolls. Make it more T110E5 levels or E100 levels. The E100 is a fabulous example. It has one of the smallest alpha damage fluctuations in the game as a heavy tank. The lowest damage I've hit for with that 128mm gun was 384 damage. The highest was 468. Now, it's a bit odd that the T10 has such a massive fluctuation Sigma. The reason why I say it's got such a large fluctuation Sigma is because again, people hitting for 600, people hitting for 200 with a 122mm gun, it doesn't really sound right. I mean, 600 damage, that's like 140mm gun levels of damage. 200 is more like 105mm or even 100mm gun level of damage. Yeah, the damage dispersion is just too big. It really is. Sorry about that. And the thing is that this dispersion has to be brought closer together. Because I think it is time that the T10 gets hit with a slap hammer. Leave its armor alone, leave its speed alone, leave its pen alone. Maybe leave its DPM alone, but lower that alpha damage. Because with its reload time, it's got one of the quickest reload times as a high tier heavy tank in this game. It reloads quicker than the T125. It reloads quicker than the Conqueror. It doesn't reload as quickly as the E100. The E100 has one of the most overpowered reloads in the game, and I have to get out of the way. even though it doesn't feel quick to a heavy tank, absolutely amazing. It had about 11 seconds shaved off its reload, the E100. And that's a huge difference. The T10 has roughly a 16-17 second reload. That may sound long. The T125 and the Conqueror on par with a 19 second reload. E100 has around a 15 second reload. It's about a second or two slower than the E100, but you're hitting harder than the E100. You are hitting much harder than the E100. Just to show you what I mean. Just to see. Let's have a look. So it's not as quick as it used to be. It's very, very maneuverable. It can turn on the spot in a dime. Now, we're gonna hunt somebody down. Hopefully, I hear a small caliber gun. It's not a 75. Oh, that sounds like the anti-air truck. Unacceptable with such a. It's not a big caliber gun as well. I mean, it is a 122mm. And look, I mean, seriously, I mean, 467 again. It may not be hitting the hardest right now. But I've done so much. Let's see what new this 262 have. 522. So only a tracking shot. Damage dispersion is just so. Well, that's absolute. It's just so incredibly large. So large. I just don't know why. $522 again. I'm going to reverse here. Oh my, got one hit by KP2. But you can see the damage dispersion is just too high. It's just too high on the T10. I mean, of course, we didn't hit for 600 because hitting for 600 is rare, but we got close. Now, this could be a long video, and I know it's going to be a long video. But we're going to be using some tanks that I don't consider hard, but I consider are balanced. Now we've got the T62 Alpha and the T10M out the way. We're going to start off with the M4085 pack. I think this tank's pretty balanced. Focus on this guy. Oh god, excuse me. I'm not really afraid of the Bulldog, not with its reload that's been completely diminished. saved them. And I decided not to because I'm heartless. No, no joking. And there's another M48 there. We've got the 105 as well. The M10, the 105mm M68. This guy's got to be careful because he doesn't have very quick reload. Now if we go around this corner, should no listen. 205. I don't think we can. There's an AMX 1375. Oh, that's KB1. KB2, sir. We did hit the KV2's track for 470, and that's one of the highest rolling damages up here. This 105 M68. Just see who has a very quick moving M2 here. Was that an AMX? This is an AMX. Well, that dinged off the T125. Driving into trees and all sorts. Oh, that actually maps into KV2. I'm literally scared on that. Don't put me. Is he turning around? No way he would turn around. I'm not too worried about that KB1 because he's only got the 76mm. I'm not sure what tank it is. That's KB2. Not a tank that you fight against. Oh, that's a T10. Oh, that's a T10. Oh, that's a T10. We lost the track. Good, don't put me. We fixed the track. Get going. Run away, run away, run away, run away. Circle. Keep on circling, keep on going. Shot, 470 damage, keep on circling. He missed. Oh, that's a KV2. We're immobilized. Oh, that's the. Oh, we've just received the biggest dump in the world. I want to get rid of this guy. Oh, he's dead. Oh, that's an SU-85. Oh, it's a dead SU-85. Oh, what the hell was that? Is that somebody sniping? Or was that somebody SU? That's the other guy. So the M48, I mean, it's got decent armor and everything like that. It's alright on the damage spectrum. The alpha damage can fluctuate a little bit too high, but that's expected with a 105 in this game. Now, if this 105 was hitting for over 500, then I'll be concerned. But it's not. It's hitting for just over 450. Now, the next tank I want to try out is a tank that everybody thinks is rubbish. It's this tank. And this tank, I have a special place in my heart for this tank. And the reason why is because it has a pretty decent reload actually. Now, I haven't got this crew level up to whatever. And we're going to hop into battle. Now, with its 75mm gun, it can pen quite a lot. Not the best pen in 75, but it's close. And it's not really quick, but it's quick. And it can get you into a lot of places pretty quick actually. So when you climb up this hill, and this is where the acceleration starts to suffer slightly. And if you just halt here, your first speed is god awful. Oh, that's him. Oh, we hit him again. Finish off this T-30-45. Maybe it's starting to go a bit slacky-wacky. Now, I do like this tank. No, don't hit me. You'll regret it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the tank around. And how I'm going to do this is that I'm going to do this. And this is the tank in front. Is he going to climb up? I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure if he's climbing up or if he's climbing down. I'm not sure. He's taking a couple of hits. A couple of nasty hits. Now, because my reload is better than his, not by much, but it is better, I can finish him off. Just like that. And this tank is, well, let's just say that this tank likes to troll people because it says it's got pretty crap armor. I've bounced an E100 in this thing, and it's actually pretty funny. If you zoom in, somehow hit him. just killed a. Oh, spawned an E100. Come on, boys. Oh, come on, we can do this. Come on, boys. Hello, E100. You can. Yeah, oh god. Oh yes, boys. Come on, boys. We can do this. Oh, we missed. Oh no, no. Further than, don't you dare. Oh, I love this tank because it's a type of tank where you don't have to try. You could just buy this tank. You are effectively buying a Panther A, Auction A, with the Panther F's gun. And that gives you a massive advantage. Because even though you don't have to... Did someone just ding off our turf? Oh, someone just hitting us. Is that pesky M4? He's done. Okay. So we're going to move forwards. Be a little bit careful because we are literally on no hit points. Oh, that was awesome. That didn't hit him. Now let's actually see here. Now that's a leopard one. Very dangerous tank. Not a tank you can fight. Down here. Don't see any tanks. That doesn't mean that there isn't any. That's not what I want to see. Oh, right now. Because I am a M10 Panther M10. And I'm going to hide behind the building here. Yeah. So this is branch going. Once we die, I'm going to hop into the Panther F to show you guys what the Panther F has to do better than the Panther M10. Shot to him. He hasn't died, has he? Another shot to him. Backing up. And we did 2,900 damage in this tank that everybody says is the worst tank for tier 4. To be honest, it's not a bad tank. It just depends how you use it. You use it at the beginning of the game. Find a sniping spot. Find a sniping spot. After you found a sniper spot, sit there for about 2 minutes. 2 minutes tops. Just sit there, casually snipe. If you are pushed out your sniping spot, find another one. And what you want to do is you want to circle backwards and forwards between sniping spots. Keep on circling backwards and forwards. And over time, the enemy is going to get really annoyed with you. Really, really annoyed with you. After those 2 minutes, what you want to do is, after your team has either completely demolished the enemy team or the enemy team has completely demolished your team, you want to go balls in, just charge right in and just create hell. Because this what this tank is designed to do. It's designed to create hell. It's not a bad tank. Depends how you use it. So this tank is definitely a tank that I enjoy. Now, a lot of people hate this machine because 1, it's premium. 2, it's basically a rip-off of the Panzerkraftwagen 5 Oxford F. It's basically got this gun on this tank, and then you get this thing without a computer. So what you get is you get effectively a tier 3 machine at tier 4 with armor that is actually this. It's slightly less maneuverable than the Panzerkraftwagen 5 Oxford F, but you do have that reload. You don't have the penetration, sadly. You only have 185. But that doesn't matter. You can spawn E100. You can spawn this. You can spawn that. But you armor, I mean, 120mm of frontal hull armor, 45. This is where the pain comes in. 45mm of frontal turret armor. But if you look at the gun, if you look at the gun mantler, it covers the entire turret. And because you don't have that stupid little cupola, 120mm plus 45, that's 165mm of armor at the front of the turret. I know that a lot of tanks can pen that, but again, a lot of tanks can't pen that. If you want to kill this thing, get around it, shoot the sides, or if you can't get around it, if you have, I would say if you have less than, if you have about 100mm of pen, shoot it and use spawn on it, shoot it over and over and over and over and over and over again. If it's got its turret, turn to the side, shoot the turret. Now, if it's angled, like this, and you can't see the front of the tank, and he's popping out and he's shooting at you, and just as he pops out and shows this part of the tank, you want to shoot here. Just shoot here. But if he's not and he's just sat there, then you're going to want to shoot the turret, because the turret is super weak at the side. It's only probably about 22.5mm, so 22.5mm at the side of the turret. And that means that even tier 3s and 2s can overmatch at any angle with the turret. It's similar with the Panzerkraftwagen 5 Oxford F. And the reason why I'm saying the tanks with the right name is because I want to respect those tanks, and I want to respect the people who made those tanks. Well, I say that, and I shouldn't say that, but again, the Panzerkraftwagen 5 Ultra F, it has a similar, I think it has the longer version of the 75 on the Panther M10, but you do have similar muzzle velocities. Now, the VK has a 75mm. That's the same gun on the Panther D, if I'm correct. If I'm not, put it in the comment section below. Now, the Panther M10 is one of those tanks where I like, as I said before, I do like this tank. I never used to like it until I bought it and I started playing it. And boy, this tank is fun. It did receive a slight reload nerf, because the reload before the nerf, before the slight reload nerf, was 1.5 seconds with a pretty high enough crew, and that meant that you could smack a lot of people. You were putting in about 190 to 200 damage shots every 1.5 seconds. Now, the 1.5 second reload you could get if you get like crew level 20. I didn't have crew level 20, so I got my reload down to about 2.12 seconds. Still pretty quick reload, but again, now the reload is about 4 seconds, 4.1 seconds. So again, still pretty good reload. Well, it is 75mm, and a bloody good 75mm at that. And I do recommend this tank. I do recommend it. It does need skill. You need skill to play this tank. This tank demands skillful players. If you are not a skillful player, if you're a new player, don't buy this tank, because you'll make yourself look like an idiot. You will make yourself look like an idiot if you buy this tank, because you don't know how to play it. You don't know its strengths. You don't know its weaknesses. You don't know the read of the gun. I would suggest play the Panther line first. Go right up to the Panzerkraftwagen 5 Ultra F. Play that a couple matches. Get used to the tank. Then buy the Panther M10. Because the Panther M10 has a similar playstyle to the Panzerkraftwagen 5 Ultra F. The only difference is the Panther M10 has slightly weaker turret armor, is slightly slower in the acceleration rate side, and has a slightly slower reloading gun. The Panzerkraftwagen 5 Ultra F takes about 3.8, 3.7 seconds to reload right now for me. I'm not sure how low you could get that reload, but the other difference is that it's got 205mm of penetration. The Panther M10 has a 185. So it's like, you know, you lose a bit, you get a bit, because you got the space armor on the turret, and that does act as additional armor. It doesn't read it here, but this is about 10mm worth of armor. So you're really getting about 55mm there. So, I mean, it's 45 in the turret, and the space armor is about, I think it's about probably 5 to 6mm, probably not 10, so it's either 50mm or 51mm with the space armor and the turret are combined. So the turret again is not as tough as the Panzerkraftwagen 5 Ultra F, but again, you are just as quick, and of course you've got slightly slower reloading gun. So I would definitely recommend this tank. So another tank I would like to... It's a tank. It's not really a tank. It's not really a tank at all. It's called the hang on a minute. The SDKF set. Hang on, I've got to look up this name. So what is it? The SDKF set. The full name of the SDKF set. The Sonderkraftfahrzeug. The Sonderkraftfahrzeug. I bloody hope I'm pronouncing that right. It's called the Schroederkrafts. The Sonderkraftfahrzeug 234. Yeah, pretty hard name to pronounce. So I haven't played this thing yet. It's got a, what was that, 50mm? It looks like a 50mm. So let's just take it out into battle. It sounds like 50mm. Now this thing is...
Enemy forces have captured a zone.
So, I mean, this tank, not a lot of people play this tank, and the reason why they don't play this tank is because acceleration rate, it's 99 acceleration rate. The penetration is pretty bloody good for 50mm. 75, not bad. This top speed is bad. I would expect this tank to do about 90, probably 80. I would say probably 80. But 60, that's a bit lacking for a road vehicle. Actually, if we actually look up, let's actually get that name, copy the name, paste, speed. Let's have a look. It's got it here. There we go. Speed 80 kilometers an hour. Yeah, 80 kilometers an hour. So we can do 80. So looking easy to do 80. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, this thing is... Oh wow. This thing is 85. Greg, you need to fix the stats, mate. It does 60 and that put me off this. We don't reverse that quickly. Well. Top speed 60. It does 85. It's the quickest machine in the game. So let's actually get there. Come on. Oh yeah. let's see this 50 mil. Oh, we could have left it. That's good. So we actually could have left. We did 359 damage. This thing is good. It's quick. It's got 300 health. Not bad. 765 damage. Not bad for tier 2 armored car. 75mm of pen. That's pretty good for 50mm. 30mm of frontal armor. 30mm of turret armor. Frontal turret armor. And 50mm of gun mount armor. Not bad again. Acceleration rate is 98 now. Because we got through level thing. Speed is 60 still, but it's actually 85. That is good. Very quick. Very quick. The turning radius is realistic. Good on you, Greg. It's actually realistic. Well done, mate. 50mm. 75mm of head. Was it 75? I don't know. 50mm. Let's go. Let's go. Go. Let's get to that sniper spot really quickly. Let's go. This thing is so quick. You can outrun any tank in the game. And I hope Greg adds in the suspension support from Dunes into Tankery. That would be really good. What's the gun cushion levels? Well, that's pretty good. That's about 8 degrees. Now, because it goes on wheels, it's not going to be completely stable because it doesn't have a stabilizer. It is going to struggle to get up hills and stuff. That landed. Let's just no way we penned an E100. We spawned on E100. How are we spawning on E100? Hi, I'm gonna go run away now. That made me laugh. That was something what I was doing. Oh my god. So it turns out this tank is actually overpowered because it can pen anyone. Oh, is he dead? I think he's dead. So this tank is actually pretty good fun. So we're going to go to our sniping spot. Yeah, I forgot to look. What's the first speed? It's got to be pretty quick. 42 kilometers an hour. Really? It's not bad. Oh, there's somebody going over. Holy shit. That's what? Is that a 30mm? That's not a 30mm, is it? didn't see the smoke guys. Who's that? This is actually a really fun machine. You are quick, you are agile. Not a lot of people are going to be able to get shot on you. Run away. 100 kilometers an hour going down that hill. Absolutely fantastic. Oh, that's gonna hurt us. Oh wow. Spawn on the side of the leopard.
Enemy forces have captured a zone.
221 damage. I do like this machine. It's very quick. Use it as a scouting vehicle. Get to an area, okay? Get to an area where the enemy team aren't going to find you. Like maybe behind some trees or something like that. And then type in team chat exactly what tanks the enemy team have. And then get the hell out of there or sit completely still. Just don't move. The enemy team should not find you. And it'll be really funny. It'll be really funny if they don't. Also, if you guys want to send some replays of you playing Tankery, go onto my Discord and send them through there. And I'll look at them and I'll probably do like a video on them or something like that. So thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you did enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up. Put in the comment section what you think about the tanks that I discussed about, and the problems with the T62 Alpha and the T10 and a couple of other tanks. And I'll see you guys in the next video. And I do apologise for being away for a couple of days. It's just been, a bit chaotic. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.